I had an entire like script written out, part of a script written out for my Atomic Heart review, and I was gonna be all like, "I'm a professional, man. I'm a reviewer." Da, 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 da. But I'm not. I'm wearing a Sailor Moon shirt. I'm a dude. I'm a weird weeb who just likes video games and anime and stuff like that. And I want to be authentic to myself, so I'm not gonna do that. If you guys are expecting a well thought out review, that's not what this is. This is more of just like from a pure like, I played the game, here are my thoughts thing. Not organized necessarily, but just like emotional responses, right? Which I know typically people don't like that in their reviews, but whatever. I played the game. So I'm going to go off the cuff. If you do not like that, I'm sorry. And also, there will be spoilers in here. But honestly, it's not like the plot was too hard to figure out. I think most people clocked it the minute the main plot was, starting. So, that being said, let's talk about Atomic Heart.
Dream to do great things. Flying machines, space travel.
So this game starts off with you being in this boat, and the setting is 50s, alternate USSR, where they won the war, and then they created advanced robotics like 1930s, found polymer, and then became just the scientific powerhouse. So that's what you're seeing, right? The world is set up to be just this very like idyllic place. And I'm like, cool, all right, bet. It's obviously taking inspiration from BioShock. It quite clearly invites that comparison. Some people are coming at me saying like, oh my god, it's its own thing. It's really not. It very clearly is inspired by BioShock. So the game starts off, you're walking around, you're seeing all these things. Okay, cool. They're establishing like this is the norm. Then obviously things are gonna go to shit. Things don't go to shit for like quite a bit of time, honestly. Like you walk around the place, you can engage with people. It's kind of like the beginning of BioShock Infinite. You engage with people, you can talk to some robots, and then you go into this science center and you get your glove, who will be your travel companion for the remainder of the game, named Charles. Immediately after that happens, you go to see the, I guess, main antagonist of the game, which is again not a surprise if you ever played a video game. And he is the one who instructed Charles to go with you, and then you're out to go to explore the rest of those compounds. And so far so good. It's really good. It looks beautiful. I really like the theme, I like the setting. They even do this whole thing where like the game kind of starts like 3 separate times, with the first with the boat, and then with the going to the big science center, then going to where the guy lives, and then finally there's a whole section where you're just flying around in a car, you're looking at all the vistas. It's a very like, gee whiz, look at us, let me flex my graphical capabilities for a second. I'm like, you know what? Kudos. I love the confidence. And then things go to shit. You get hit by this robot, your car falls into this building, and then you have to escape, right? I'm like, okay, cool, we're started. Game literally starts. It says like, it fades to black and it says Atomic Heart. And then once that happens, the game starts to show its flaws. First, it's still pretty good, you know, you're on foot, they're showing you little prompts you can do, like, hey, this is how you sneak, this is how you do it. Typical first person adventure type things, got it. And then you get to this underground area, and that's your first like compound, it's your first like almost like tutorial section. And it's atmospheric as fuck. Like you have all these weird like tentacles in the air, and they have these dead bodies just suspended in place. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're about to get into some shit. This is what like the BioShock comes in, right? You meet a person, and then, well, first you have to do this little small little just a quest to go get like a valve, or no, it's to get a wheel to turn the door. And then once you do that, you meet this guy. And it's like, cool, other people. And then the minute you meet him, he immediately dies. Immediately dies. And you're like, okay, so there's a threat down here. There's some sort of weird creature coming through here, some weird robotic creature. Okay, cool. I then start to notice that every body, like dead body, because there's almost no living people in this game. Every dead body you see is the same exact model. And I don't mean like, oh, same model, different skin texture. I mean the same exact model. For some people that might be a non-issue, but for me, I couldn't help but notice that, especially because prior to that, I had walked by a living version of that model, and he was talking to just an older version of the same model. It was literally just the same model, with one had gray hair, one had brown hair.
But it's still an internal combustion engine, right?
Sure, it's a solid machine.
Can't stop progress, though. They're turning out new models daily now.
This one's a gas guzzler. Wait
That your
till they're all
dad?
running on electricity. That'll be something.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that's
it.
right.
Are you talking to your? You were talking to your dad. Do you have? That is your. No, look. That is your father. Respect him. And I was like, all right. So then you go continue through the map, and then it just starts to kind of just throw things at you with no real sense of rhyme or reason. Like first, okay, yeah, there's some robots there, of course, but then it's like suddenly you're in a cutscene, and suddenly there's this huge red worm-like, snake-like robot. Okay, cool. We're gonna fight that robot here? No. Okay. And then you move on, and then suddenly there's a cutscene. You got crushed, and now you got rescued by these two other soldiers who are dying. You meet Larissa. I have a whole thing posted on my that. You guys can just chill. Let me just play it for you guys.
And you ask a lot of questions.
You know what? You're on your own. You got this.
Where are you going? It's
Why
useless.
is it-
We don't have the equipment.
I've got the equipment. Great. Now we're getting
How
somewhere.
did you do that?
You ask a lot of questions.
What the fuck is happening?
Get out.
What?
Larissa!
I don't. What the fuck is happening? Jesus Christ! This gotta be a nightmare. This gotta be a dream sequence.
Holy shit! Avoid the beam!
That wasn't a dream sequence. All of that happens, and then you're immediately fighting that new robot type, and then after that, like within like 30 seconds, you're going up against Nora. And here is one of my problems with this game. It is tonally all over the place. Like literally all over the place. 1 minute it's this huge like atmospheric dark against Bioshock like game. Then the next is trying to like become this like absurdist take on the genre, almost like a parody of sorts, and then it goes right back to being serious, and it's all within like seconds. It's like this massive whiplash you get. This tonal shift that keep happening. But the weird thing is, with Nora, she's like this super horny fridge robot that does your weapons. That's where you get your weapon crafting. That's where you get all your upgrades and things from her, right? She's your upgrade system. That goes away. Like, she just mellows out. I don't know if it's just my run, but like after the initial like first 2 times you talk to her, she's completely normal the rest of the game. Like she just says, like, analyzing Major Sergei Nechayev.
Authorization. Major Nechayev. Codename.
Nechayev. What the fuck is his last name? I don't care. I'm gonna get to him in a second though. Or she'd be like Major Pete. Do that. She's a regular robot. Which also raises weird questions because there's a lady you meet named Lady Xenia. And she's like the Baba Yaga. Like she literally lives in a house with legs and has a chicken with the it's a weird thing, right? She has a Nora unit in her house. The Nora unit was psychotic and killing literally every human it came across until your character comes through there. Which then raises the question, why would it then be in her house and how is she safe from that? Because even if you want to say that, oh, one Nora, they're all the same, prior to you fixing her, she was literally killing people, and then even tells you you're basically almost she's not going to kill because she gets lonely and she likes you because you're dominant. But then after the fact, like, I'm like, shouldn't Xenia been dead? Why is this in literally every location? And I know it's a video game, but still, like, those little things start to add up. You go through the game, and they just again start throwing things at you. But there's no real cohesion. Like the level design, honestly, it looks really cool, but it's also fucking baffling. It has some of the worst level design choices you could possibly imagine. Like for example, early on in the game, you have to activate this birch tree. And to do that, first you just collect like, I think it's like 2 light, like little balls. Okay, so you go in one area, do like a pretty simple puzzle, go in another area, do some puzzle, put it on Bob's your uncle, you're done, right? No, because now you have to collect 4 canisters. And so then you have to do another round of fetch questing just to open, and each canister you put in there opens another section, then you go to another section, another canister, it's just back and forth. There's this back and forth thing. And the game does that a lot. It introduces artificial game lengtheners throughout the runtime, but especially at the end of the game. Oh my God. At the end of this game, no lie, it is just one long padded section. Like before you get to the final boss fight, you're just going to like 1 or 2 rooms that are just filler. Like you walk into a room and then there's like annoying doors. By the way, they have these weird like door locks, and locks only come in 3 varieties. It's either you have to snap along to the beat to unlock it, or you have, let's put like a little cookie on it, or it's one where you have to like shift around these dots to unlock it. But personally, I think that's the best one that they did. But it becomes so annoying when literally every door has that. There's a point in the game where you're going through doors and there's no joke, like 6 or 7 doors in succession that each have 2 lock things on it. So you have to do one which is typically the snap, and then the other one which is the color coded thing, just to get through the door. And they just add these things. And there's like random just waves of enemies that come out of nowhere. Speaking of enemies, the enemy variety is painfully limited. It's either these mustache robots that you will kill a billion of them before the game is over, or it's these like weird like mutants that honestly do not belong in this game. Going back to the tonal change, it just does not fit the game. The game was clearly designed around like robotics, right? That's the thing the in-universe version of Rush is famous for, it's robotics. But then you fight these plant monsters. And like, oh yeah, they're experimenting under things. I'm like, but then you should make the game focus on that. If it's about like just the scientific revolution, and sure, but they're very adamantly talking about robotics. 99% of the enemies are robots. And then you just have these random plants that can basically do like a flood imitation and revive dead bodies and take over them. And I'm like, even then, those guys get kind of boring. Like it was cool the first time, but then after like the 100th time, it's like whatever. And what's also very strange is that while you fight those guys, you're not even officially introduced to them. Like they just appear in one part of the game early on. And then like after you kill like 30 of them, then your character starts to comment on those. Like as if you're just now running into them for the first time. And I'm like, I don't know why they did that. It's just, it's so baffling. Artificial game lengtheners, very simple and boring puzzle work. The most interesting puzzles happen outside of the main campaign. But honestly, I just looked those up because nothing in this game drove me to want to explore more. I uninstalled this game as soon as I was done. I just did not have a really good time with this. And I could go into more detail about like that, but honestly, I want to get to like my biggest gripe with this game, which is 2 things. I touched on it light with the level design, but the second one is the main character. He is, without a doubt, the dumbest protagonist I've ever played as. Like, and I've played with like low int barbarians in D&D, and he is by far the dumbest, most unlikable protagonist. Like, holy shit, this dude is just angry.
Sign me up.
Didn't you say you were in a hurry just a moment ago?
Shut your trap and keep scanning, would you? I'm getting acquainted with the new hardware.
Oh,
Yeah, I just came from one. I get it.
The American
He's so
government is
ornery.
expressing deepening concern about the skyrocketing unemployment figures following the deliveries of robotic
Politics,
workers
screw
from the
that.
Soviet
We've got plenty of thought devices. There won't be a shortage.
Politics, screw that. This is the game set in USSR.
Shalchinov in response to widespread concern in the city of Ozyorsk.
How about some music? Shut the hell up, Glove. I'm trying to listen.
To what? Is there anything here you haven't seen yet?
I've never been here before. Zip it.
What? How come?
I don't know, damn it. Now quit bugging me.
My apologies.
Let's go.
Assuming you have purchased a ticket.
A ticket? A fucking ticket? Are you stupid? There are corpses everywhere. There's an emergency protocol in effect over the entire facility. Start the train right now.
According to Soviet law, free travel is available only to pregnant women and people with disabilities. I do not detect any signs of pregnancy. Show me a note from the gynecologist.
I'll show you signs of pregnancy, you piece of shit.
If you have a mental disability, please present your disability certificate.
That's it. You're fucked.
Comrade Major, note that this particular Rafik is not an autonomous system. He is the high-speed train Vortex. Destroying him will permanently disable the train.
All right. Listen here, you lousy hunk of junk. Where do I get your fucking ticket? Let me ride now, you bloodsucker?
Why didn't you notify me you had a travel document, comrade? It could speed up the departure of the train.
Maybe because I didn't have it back then.
He's just the stereotypical angry dude. He has no depth at fucking all. He is just all rage all the time. And they try, very lightly try to give a reason why that is by having characters just point out that, like, oh yeah, after you lost your wife, you just became super angry. But they do nothing in the game to set that up to make it have a satisfying payoff. You find out later in the game, and when I mean later, I mean literally in the last like 20 minutes of the game, that the twins are actually parts of his wife, split into left and right. That's why they're called left and right.
Finally back with us, Sonny. You took a real pounding, didn't you? You were pretty close to staying there for good.
Where?
You tell me. How am I supposed to know where you are when you're on the bloody rampage? You were a nice boy when my daughter was around, but ever since she passed away, you do nothing but sulk and fly off the handle at the drop of a hat. Nothing but blood and ripped off heads everywhere. Disgraceful.
What's your daughter got to do with me?
My Katinka. Our Katinka. They played hell with your memory, Sonny.
Lady, what are you talking about?
She was my daughter, but she was your...
Ekaterina Nechaeva, codename Blesna, member of the Argentum Spec Ops squad. So you must be...
Your mother-in-law, you stupid ignoramus.
But they do nothing to build that up. It's not like the twins recognize him and try to reach out to him. It's all that is like when he's in limbo, he will hear the voice of his wife. That's it. By the way, the limbo sections make no fucking sense. I understand it's supposed to be like his mental space where he goes when he berserks out, but there's no explanation for it, really. Like, you're a cat in that. But then the cat you are is the cat you find in the main bad guy's office. And I'm like, what is that? What is that connection? Why is that there? Like, what is going on? They don't really explain that. They don't set up any real relationships, make you feel any sort of emotional impact whatsoever. I mean, again, first and foremost, you only interact with like 4 human characters: Lady Zinnia, and then the guy you're chasing, and then Larissa, and then the guy who you're working for. Oh, and then like Stocks, like 5 people. But your interactions with them are so far and few in between. Like, you truly do not care what happens to these characters. In fact, the game knows that because most of the characters, it kills off screen. It just flat out kills them. Like they're just dead. And it's like, oh, what happened? I mean, again, I told you it's spoilers. Larissa just dies. You go into a cutscene with her, and you're in an elevator, and then the screen goes white, and you go into limbo, and then she's dead. And they just tell her, oh yeah, you scatter her to the winds, you rip her apart.
Where's Larissa?
She's everywhere. You scattered her to the 4 winds.
That's it. You don't build anything with these characters. I'm like, I don't understand the direction they're going for in this game. They just threw a bunch of shit together and none of it really works. And again, the main character is so aggressively unlikable and stupid that he literally has the plot explained to him like 5 times. And I'm not exaggerating.
But it changes nothing. Collective must still be activated.
I couldn't agree more. But what should we do with the dead Politburo member?
We don't have a lot of options here. Right? Handle it. Mikhail, head to the radio station and make sure power to the government line has been cut. Make it quick.
Yes, sir, but the Kremlin will be expecting a report from Comrade Molotov.
I will personally inform the Politburo of this tragedy.
Titov is masking his signature, but I'm sure he's in one of the scientific centers.
Did you hear that, my boy? Go find him. Right now.
Molotov's dead.
Then it all makes sense.
What makes sense?
Collective will activate, and that's the end of everything.
What? What's wrong with people controlling robots with their minds? You're the one who created the goddamn system, you prick.
Literally, Charles explains why you should be suspicious of what's happening. And he's just like, what do you mean? And then sometimes he gets it, and then he like just reverts because the game's not ready to end yet. So you're doing the same shit over and over and over again. Like, at no point does he ever on his own start to question things, right? Like in BioShock with Atlas and Andrew Ryan, and obviously your main character, there are things that don't quite match up, And then once the twist is revealed, it's like, oh shit, that's why, right? But you can play the game, it's like there's something wrong here. There's something that doesn't feel right. You can't put your finger on it. This game attempts that, but it fails miserably because, again, if you've ever played BioShock, you can see the twist coming a mile away, right? And it doesn't do anything to change that. There's no subversion. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna just do that. Like, that's literally gonna be our twist. And I'm like, okay, so the main person who we thought was the main bad guy isn't the main bad guy, but the person who's been with you this entire time is actually the main bad guy? Like, come on. Like, do better. And now, the ending of the game also feels very rushed. It's like I said before, you just go through these like corridor moments where you're just attacking enemies and they just randomly start throwing more limbo scenes at you, which are kind of annoying, to be honest. And then you have this ending scene where you're with Lady Xenia, and this is when they, for the last time, explain the entirety of the plot, like just exposition like crazy.
To claim to be noble avengers. On the other, I've got a Soviet scientist and member of the Academy who wants to enlighten all mankind and use me to get rid of assholes. According to the manipulative dicks, that is.
And then you get a choice. And your choice is either you go and you kill the main bad guy, or you just say fuck it and leave. And honestly, I would have just said fuck it and leave, but I'm like, let me finish the game out. You do that, and then you fight. You land over there, you land in front of the way you started the game, and then you fight one of the twins. You fight the twin, beat her, go upstairs, and fight them again. That's the final boss fight. You fight one of the twins, beat them, they fly up, you go in the elevator, and then you fight them again. That's all they had for you. That's it. This is one of those games that are like top heavy. They start off pretty decently, and then by the end, it's just they petered out. And I cannot stress this enough: how awful P3 is as a character. And he doesn't grow. He doesn't learn. He does not change. He's just this asshole who hates robots. By the way, they never explain why he hates robots so much. Like, he just deeply hates them. You would think it was like you would think it was like an iRobot situation where like a robot fucked him over. No. In fact, he has prosthesis in his body. He's closer to them than he is to an actual fucking human. And yet, he hates them so much, he swears at every single one of them. Like, it is infuriating to play as him. Especially because the dialogue in this game is garbage. I don't know how people were out here just killing Forspoken when this dialogue is 1,000 times worse.
Major, you alive?
No, I got killed by a grenade.
I'm so sorry that happened. I didn't want any of this, but none of it matters right now.
So what does matter, you crispy-ass critter?
We have to meet. You need to see this with your own eyes. I'll show you everything.
What do you mean by everything?
You trust Sechenov too much, but he's keeping you in the dark. You have no idea what's really going on. You need to see it with your own eyes or you're not gonna believe it.
You got that right. I have no fucking idea what's going on.
You will understand when you see it. I have proof. I'll be waiting in the Academy of Consequences. The entrance is inside the lighthouse. Trust nobody.
I don't.
It is god awful. I wish I don't know if there was an option to turn off the audio, but I would turn off the audio if we could. Because my god. And I had to use it in English because the subtitles are garbage and I can't look at the subtitles and play the game because it's just not going to work. So I had it in English. He keeps trying to get this crispy critters thing to pop off, but it doesn't make any sense because you have this character who is just this gruff asshole, yet he's saying campy stuff like, these crispy critters, but then he also swears a ton. So I'm like, where's the crispy critters fit? What is that? Is that like a localization thing? Is that like something that only works in Russian? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And it just, I guess it matches the theme of the game, which is random shit happening, and they kind of just expect you just to go with it. It's like, this game has lots of ideas, and at the same time commits to none of them. So you just have a bunch of just half-formed ideas for the entire run of the game. And the ones that are more interesting get dropped, and for some reason the ones that are less interesting go on a little bit longer than you want them to. Again, so many parts of this game is just doing fetch quests. I would say easily 50% of this game is fetch quests. And there's particularly one mission, oh my god. There's one mission in where you just have to follow this robot who goes so incredibly slow for no reason, just other than slowing down the game so it's longer.
Oh my, would you look at this? Helping lumberjacks and first responders is such a noble goal. But you... animal, like a beast, to crush and dismember. And this one, it just stands there buck naked, as if nothing were wrong. Have you no shame, robot? Publicly exposing your iridium compactor.
You do realize he didn't do it himself, right?
Oh my, that's a mess. And who, I wonder, will have to clean it up? I should dispatch the cleaners this instant. No, wait. It's the cleaners that did it. I'm so scatterbrained today. Oh, I envy you humans. You can just pick up a razor and shave that horrible, monstrous mustache off. But this one, you're not even a machine, you nitwit. You're just an imitation, a caricature, a piece of lab equipment. Pardon the outburst. It's just that one of them used to try to... Oh, well, let's change the subject. There's a wide range of the lab tech models. The ones in black turned out to be especially vicious. They've been using their harmless, built-in range-finding laser to pick off humans from a distance. How did it ever come to this? Just so you know, the Black Lab Tech specialization is determined by the software package encoded within a specially constructed Kinetico Scholar Neurogel capsule. You can salvage this package from one of the defeated Black Lab Techs, provided its capsule is still in one piece.
What? I didn't understand a single thing you just said. You're an assistant, Tereshkova. Talk human.
Shocking! You have no sense of decency. I gather you've already met Nora, the monstrous repair vendor who's subjecting humans to unimaginable deadly torture. It pains my algorithms to have to send you into her bloody clutches, but we have no choice. She's the only mechanism capable of utilizing this capsule to upgrade your weapons.
Yeah, move your ass, Tereshkova. We're in a hurry.
On my way, comrade! Oh, who's a good boy? Who's the sweetest, silliest, chubbiest little boy? You little goof. You don't attack people even when you're in combat mode because you're such a little sweetie, isn't that right? Aren't you precious? Here we are, comrade. The administrative control drive should be at this booth. Please establish the connection.
Honest to God, if this game caught its filler and was just like a tight 8 to 10 hours, I would have such a better like impression of it. But I think because it costs $70, which it definitely shouldn't, they feel they have to do that just to justify the cost. But I'm telling you, it makes the game so much worse. It is just... I've been talking for like over 20 minutes and I still haven't felt like I said everything I want to say. But otherwise this is going to be way too long. I have to edit this down. So I don't know how long it's going to be when I finish editing this, but just trust me when I say this game was a slog to get through. For $70, honestly, you guys, don't do it. It's not worth $70. I played on Game Pass. I'm just like, So that's my review. This game, it has a lot of potential, but doesn't live to anything because it actively goes out of its way to not say anything, and that works to its detriment.